Hello and welcome to Derp Derp and Friends Reviews. I'm Derp Derp.
I'm Ski Nerd. What's up? Oh, might be far away. Ah,
Today we're reviewing the last two episodes of the Dresden Files, titled, I forgot what the first one's called.
first one I actually wrote it down this time. Things that go bump.
And the second one's called The Second City.
My hair look nice.
But before
For
we
the
get
boys and
into it,
girls.
remember to like, subscribe, comment, and especially like and comment to help us towards our goal. For 1,000 likes to watch a season of One Piece, every 1,000 comments a season of Detective Conan. Last I counted, we're at like 740 something on Saturday. As we're going through this, I'll count again.
Mm-hmm.
Please like, subscribe, comment. And furthermore, let's get into it.
Yay! Dresden, episodes 11 and 12 is the beginning and the end. Alright. So this one starts with Harry doing some yoga. Murphy walks into his place of business and he's like, "Yeah, come on in, Murph." She comes in and she's like, "Hey, there's a giant green explosion down the street. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you?" He's like, "Nope. But I can help you. Consult for money." And that's exactly what they're about to do, except this time, Morgan walks in with his fucking broadsword, followed by Mai and three other randos. So, and Mai, or ancient Mai, she is hurt. Uh, and they were like, this is the only place we could think of. However, when they walked in, they didn't want to say anything about what they were doing. And they're like, and Harry was like, this doesn't have anything to do with that green explosion a couple blocks away, does it? They're like, how do you know about that? He's like, well, Murphy told me. The police were called and she was doing some investigation. She's a detective. Of course she knows. You stupid idiot. Let's see. And then when Harry and Murphy were talking, they were talking about, oh, look at that necklace. Yeah, it's for my 9-year-old daughter. Okay, that's random. Anyways, Ancient Mago is hurt, and as soon as they get into the place, there's a blackout outside. Like all the electricity like goes away, and nobody knows what's happening. And they're trying, and because Murphy's in the room, they're like, Morgan's like, don't say anything. She doesn't need to know anything. And Murphy's like, what's happening? This isn't a magic trick, right? How you doing this? How is this happening? It's just a blackout. And they're like, don't tell her anything. You're not allowed to tell her anything magical, blah, blah, blah. And then immediately, a man named Soto sees a ghost outside, and he's like, oh, Lydia, oh. So and he walks outside, and he dies, of course. And giving us, the audience, oh my god, this person is dead. Wow, who could have seen this coming? uh, and then they realize they are not in the real world anymore. They are surrounded by, they are in the presence of the other side. And Harry is trying to explain this to Murphy, like what the other side is, like between us and the afterlife, basically. So this is where all these spirits are and stuff, and they're kind of floating around in there. Um, and it's very hard for Murph to understand what is happening. Uh, Immediately, Morgan says, "I need a safe place for Mai," so she goes into the bedroom upstairs, and or is it downstairs? I can't remember. And then Harry, without saying anything, he's like, "All right, Murph, I'm gonna show you something, but don't be scared." And he lights his hockey stick on fire. Well, it's not on fire, but he gives it energy, and he basically lights up the room with a billion different symbols. And he's like, "Yeah, I didn't have to tell you, did I?" So she learns that he's a real wizard, and it's like, "Oh my God, big moment in the show! This is so cool." Um, and then immediately, Morgan and Harry get alone, and Morgan's like, "Yeah, we're gonna have to get rid of that mortal." And Harry gets all mad. He's just like, "No, you're not gonna do this." So he basically threatens Morgan's life. He's like, "With my eternal rage, I will rage until you kill me, and kill as many as I can if you lay a finger on her." Which is good to see. Let's see. Harry says no. Yep. And they come up with a new hypothesis, and they think that they're trapped in a binding, because there's like a weird kind of paint that's painted on the outside, and they don't know how thick this blackness, this darkness is that's surrounding them. And so then Morgan tells Harry that he blames himself. He's like kind of grieving, and he blames himself for Soto. And Harry's like, "No, you don't have to blame yourself. You didn't do anything wrong." He's like, "Well, I trained the kid, so I take self responsibility, even though because he's dead." Um, and then Bob is there, and Bob reveals himself to Murphy. So that's fun. Um, all right, that was the dog. Um, so Bob believes that someone cast a spell that traps him in there from the inside. And so they realize that one of them is a traitor. And this is turning into a game of survival at this point. Not desperate survival, just survival for now. Excuse me. Harry wants Bob to be a spy, basically listen to what people are saying and report in on it. Uh, and after that happens, the darkness closes in on them. So there's clouds of black that shroud the like upper floor and stuff like that. Um, so they have less space to move around, and it's basically closing in on all of them that are there. And so now it's a timed desperation. So it gets a little bit more desperate. Well, but we have an editor. We need a desperation meter that goes up and down, up and down. This one is slowly going up. All right. So desperation level, out of 5, probably a 2. No, because it would go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or something like that. 0 is nothing, and then 1, and then should be 2. Yeah, that sounds about right. I'm thinking out loud, so don't worry about it. Anyways, um, there was a secret. Oh, that's right. They talk about like the green after it gets enclosed a little more. Morgan and the others are like, maybe we should talk more about what we were doing. And they say they got hit by a green fire, and um, and they were fighting something. And then Mai steps in, even though she's injured, and she's like, "No, don't say anything." And Morgan's like, "All right, I won't." Um, and then Murph sees her father in the darkness, and she's about to go touch him, and then Harry brings her back. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, that's not your dad. Your dad's in Florida. Um, and she's like, How do you know? How do you know my dad lives in Florida?" And he's like, "I don't know. I was talking to like the mortician or something like that. I mentioned your dad lived in Florida." She's like, "Oh, okay." Let's see, Harry and Morgan. Harry and Morgan start to come up with another plan. Um, and they talk about like making. Oh, this is when Harry asked, uh, what's the name, Morgan, uh, "Hey, don't you have the ability to transport yourself?" And Morgan reveals that he can't transport himself. He just turns invisible. And
Or he
Harry,
just more makes it so people don't notice him. That's how he explained
oh
it.
yeah, yeah, people don't notice
He
him.
makes himself unnoticeable,
Yeah,
not necessarily invisible.
yeah, that's right, that's right. And Harry comes up with the idea is like maybe we should make it so the darkness can't see us, or we're not visible to the darkness, so we can get the fuck out of here. And so they decide to have someone scout and to see how thick this this wall is, this that's caging them in, and their solution is Bob, because he's the only thing that's still not dead. And this scene is actually really, really good because we don't know what's gonna happen, and um, it's a very tense scene where Bob is about to go out and Bob is like scared, and Murphy talks to him like, and she gives him some sort of motivation, like, "Hey, I know you're scared, but this is like a brave thing that you're doing. Like, this is badass. It takes guts to do this because you're scared. This takes courage, you know." So he goes out, and like an hour goes by, and like, uh, even a couple seconds goes by, and he's like, "Hey, Bob, are you out there?" And he's like yelling at Bob for a little bit, and an hour goes by. Excuse me. And then during this time, Harry sees his dad, and Harry almost touches it, almost dies, and he's just like, "No, excuse me, no, you're not real," kind of thing. Um, Bob returns, and he's a little shattered. Um, and when he returns, he's like, he's asked, "Hey, like, how thick is it?" And he's like, "It's endless. Nobody's getting out of here." So desperation went from a 2 to a 3. um, and this is when they realized that the entire building, someone sent the entire building to the other side. So they're basically, they described it. I think a little later they described it as being in hell. Like, "Hey, welcome. You are literally in hell. Like, if you go out there, you will die," kind of thing. And then Morgan and Murphy talk about Harry, and it's a nice character building moment. Like, "Oh, what do you know about Harry? Oh, what do you know about Harry?" And they give him like the dirt on Harry and stuff like that, which is pretty fun. Uh, and then one of the three nobodies approaches Harry, and she's like, "Hey, um, I know you probably think it's me or the other guy that's other nobodies." He's like, "What? What are you talking about? I suspect everyone." She's like, "No, because you know Morgan, you know Ancient Mai, you know Murphy, you know yourself, but the two people that you don't know, you suspect, and she mentions that he's the Morning Wood, no,
Morning Way.
Morning Way, haha. I can read my own
Yeah, he's
handwriting.
a Morning Way.
Yep, Morning Way. Morning Ways are nothing but trouble, and this lady thinks that Harry is the traitor, and he's like, shit, maybe I am the traitor. Um, and then Harry's dad comes back, and he's like, one of you is an imposter. One of you is an imposter. And he's like, Harry's like, whoa, stay back. You're not my dad. But he's pretending to be like the spirit of his dad. He's like, you're an imposter. You're an imposter. And the only way to get out of here alive is by killing everybody else. And Harry's just like, oh, great, awesome. This doesn't help me at all. Okay.
I was just checking a message.
Yeah, no, I was looking at the meme.
Yeah, that's why I quickly exited out. So I got distracted.
And then Wallace starts to go crazy. He's the one with Ancient Mai, and he has some fucking killer side. And he's just like, no, it's you. And I think he starts like attacking Harry or something like that, going after him. And he's like, and then Murphy shoots him in the heart, insta kill. She's like, oh, everybody calm down. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck he was doing, but he was coming at me. Coming at me, bro. And then they find out that, I forget, they kind of figure more things out, and they figure it was Mai that was the one that sent them there, but they don't know why. Because she wasn't healing. Mai wasn't healing, and every time they would move Mai, the room would get smaller, and so it was determined that Mai put them there, and they're like, why the hell is Mai the traitor? That can't be right. Let's see. And then, but Mai keeps getting weaker, so they're like, no, it can't be Mai. And then they realize, oh, Mai put us in here, and she's the one that's holding the darkness back, kind of thing. And then it's revealed that Murphy is the imposter, and we find out really soon that it goes back to the beginning when Harry invited her into his house, and they're like, your barriers are really strong. Who did you let in? And he's just like, I let Murphy in. It's Murphy. And then it's revealed that Murphy is actually a drake or a dragon, and dragon has wings and is just like, oh, it's trying to spit green fire, and Harry has his shield up, and Harry's plan is I want everybody to huddle, and everybody does, and the darkness implodes yet again, killing the dragon, and at that point, Mai lets them back to the real world, and they're like, oh, yay, we saved the day. What else did I write down? I think that's the next one. Oh, yeah, also the dragon was not very good CGI, of course. Dragged up by the darkness. And Mai was saying that her quote was, let us die with it. Meaning, like, I didn't know who the imposter was, but I was willing to sacrifice myself to kill this monster that would do harm to other people. I would have sacrificed everyone to kill that, including myself. Which gives you an insight as to what Mai is. And then at the end, Harry's just like, wait a minute, you have the power to put yourself in that situation. And the dragon also had the same power, and implying that it could have been Mai that was actually the bad guy or whatever. I would never watch it, but this episode is actually and then the real Murphy walks in, He's like, oh, at least your friends? He's like, yeah, but they're leaving. So this one was actually more well paced. These these last two episodes were very well paced. All the ones previously were kind of wonky. Uh, like the timing in this one, it was they have a problem, and writing wise, they solve it based on like logical steps. But in the previous episodes,
It was magic.
it was more like, oh, I have a problem, instantly solve it. Oh, I have another problem, instantly solve it. Instead of them like thinking through and like using their skills, like in a game of D&D or something like that, to like Harry uses his intelligence and solving skills, and Murphy does too. But Murphy doesn't rely on magic, so she doesn't know a whole lot about magic, so she uses more mortal logic, I guess. Um, but this one was very well paced, and it was very tense with the whole Bob leaving scene. I really like that. I was very scared for Bob because I don't know what's gonna happen. These are the last two episodes. Like I knew he wasn't gonna die, but I got the sense that he was really really scared. So they kind of slowed down the episode to bring out that scariness. Right, so that was the end of episode 11.
If they killed Bob, that would have ruined the whole show.
Yeah.
It's still already not that great.
And also the acting is a lot better. Acting was a lot better, especially with the character building. They started to do character building like they put Harry and Morgan alone. Then they put Morgan and Murphy alone, and it's just like Morgan and Murphy alone, just like shooting the shit, talking about Harry. Like, whoa, we've never seen this before. Everything was so. What's the word? It was just like everything felt so forced before. It was like, oh, this person is in a situation with this person. How do they talk to each other? They're like robots, it wasn't smooth at all.
But, and really, I only have two gripes. First one really isn't a gripe. They just didn't explain it. The reason why, I guess I can say it, because there are dragons in the Dresdenverse.
Spoiler.
But there is only a few of them. At the point where the Dresden book series is taking place, I believe there's only two of them. And so this wouldn't have happened, because there wouldn't have just been a random dragon.
Well, this was a drake, not a drake.
But they said dragon multiple times as well.
I know.
And dragons in the series do take on a human form, but where they didn't explain it was the reason why they take on human form is because their actual physical being would tear or rip in the fabric of reality. They're that powerful. Because, I won't say you've met one of the dragons in the 7 books you've listened to, Mr. Pharaoh. He's at Bianca's party in the 3rd book.
Oh, okay.
He needs to go to the Never Never to go into his full form. Because the Never Never can hold his form. Because it is a realm of magic anyways.
Yeah, makes sense. Alright.
You see him one more time later in the book series so far. And to me, that he's one of the more interesting characters. I think I would have liked to see Mr. Pharaoh instead of a random dragon.
Yeah.
But the other gripe is Ancient Mai. she's not a shapeshifter. She's just really, really old in the books.
Oh.
There's no, oh, I'm a shapeshifter. She's just really old. Because in the books, wizards can live to over a century old.
Oh, really?
Because how they explain it in the books, like, their metabolism and their healing factor is a lot faster and a lot stronger. Like, and you've gotten to the point where Harry burns his hand, right?
Yeah.
Have you gotten to where, like, he starts kind of gaining more
A little
function?
crystal.
That's a good sign that, because normally if you get your hand burnt to a crisp, you won't have any function the rest of your life.
Yeah, burns all the nerves and shit.
He starts healing like a couple books later.
Nice.
So and that's why wizards can live so long.
They're super healing.
Because I know Butters in the books goes into a long explanation about it.
Everyone knows it's Butters. That's me.
A much better version of Butters than the TV show.
No, he just kind of is there. The TV show.
He has a much bigger part in the books. Like, Poco will never die.
Mm-hmm.
Best Butters quote so to date.
Alright, so episode 12. This one was really good. I really liked this one. Just spoiler alert, I really liked it, so fuck it, everyone.
And I think this was the only one that I don't even think have any gripes about.
Oh. So.
I may once you go into explaining it, but
Yeah. This one is episode 12 called Second City. And it starts off the man walking home from the grocery store. And another man comes up from behind and brands him. And then water starts spurtling out of his mouth and he dies. Roll of credits. Anyways, then it cuts to Murphy and Harry at the bar drinking, talking about their relationship, their professional relationship, and they go through the newspaper, and Murphy's like, "Oh, there's this guy named D.W. Eric, and he really pisses me off. I don't like him, and he's apparently writing a book about another cop, who we get to learn about later." And then they're talking about their relationship thing, and she goes, "Wait, you're breaking up with me?" And Harry's like, what? Are you okay?" And she's like, "Ha ha ha ha, got you." Which is a very nice scene. It was very good acting by the
Paul Blackthorne and Valley Cruz.
Yeah, very good. So now I can see why Nicolas Cage was so mad, because they finally hit their stride with, like, I mean, it's not accurate still, but as a show, it seems like they finally hit their stride with the last couple episodes.
To be honest, if they changed the name of all the characters, it would be a show I would too have been pissed if it got canceled.
Yeah.
Because this, without the name Dresdenfels, could have easily been like another Supernatural.
Yeah.
I think what really killed it was because it's based on books, and they did horrible with the books.
Yeah.
Did a horrible interpretation of the books.
I'm still waiting for the Blue Beetle. It's got that fucking Jeep thing.
to the point where even the author didn't like the series,
Unless you're Nick Cage.
and that is a really bad sign. If the creator of the books that your TV show is based on doesn't like it, that's a bad sign.
Yeah, I agree. Alright, where were we? Oh, so they're at the mortuary, and it was Murphy's day off, but she got called in. She'll carry with her to look at the body on the ground. And so they take him to the coroner, and we get to see Butters. And it's really weird because his name was Connor Reyes, and he died in the middle of winter, but he drowned with seawater, which was very strange. And I think that at this point it cuts to Harry at home or something somewhere, and he's talking to himself or talking to Bob. I can't remember, but he's considering he wants to stop helping the police for whatever reason. I think he feels like he could do more if he was on his own. Um, Being a private investigator, but just not for the police. I think it has to do with putting Murphy in danger and stuff like that, because she's immortal, or a mortal. You could get that, interpret that wrong. All right. Oh, right. Then Murph's dad is there, and Murphy's at the station, and she's like, oh no, I guess this was at the station. Ha ha. So Murph's dad visits, and she's like, "The hell are you doing here?" And it's clear that she has beef with her dad. And what are you doing here? He's like, "Oh, I'm in town. Blah blah blah. There's I forget what it was, some case that he was looking at, or came to visit one another cop or something like that. I don't remember. Doesn't really matter. He's there, and then we get to see Butters, and they're talking about the brand, and his lungs were filled with seawater, which is weird. And at that point, Mr. D.W. Herrick, the person that Murphy does not like, um, and a Sergeant Munzer, who's the guy D.W. Henrique is writing a book about, walks in, and they visit the morgue, and at, you know, in the morning, and this Sergeant Munzer seems pretty cool. He's pretty chill. I like him. Murphy's dad's second chance. Oh, right. And they talk about how um, Murphy's dad had a heart attack, and basically he got a second chance because when Murphy was 17, she resuscitated him, and well, he's alive. He broke two ribs, but um, he would say, I think he's talking to Harry or something like that, and he said, like, she doesn't think I appreciated a second life, or a second chance. Um, and then Murphy and Harry are looking at the camera at the crime scene. Oh no, it's Murphy and what's her side? What's her partner's name?
I was just looking.
Kirino or something. Starts with a K.
So I was trying to figure out who plays as Murphy's father. Kermani.
Kermani, that's it. Kermani. All right, so Kermani and Murphy are looking at the camera to see what happened, and they find that, oh, here's the guy who died. He's walking past, and then they see another person walking with the brand in his hand. And we're like, oh my god, the 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 guy who was killed had a brand on him, and he's carrying a brand. Wow. So,
Chuck Shimada plays him.
okay. Um,
He looked familiar, but in the show, uh, he isn't in anything to my knowledge that I've seen.
oh, all right. So after that, Harry goes back, and uh, Bob examines the brand that was on the dead person. And then Murphy's dad comes in and confronts Harry and tells Harry, "Hey, stay away from my daughter. You're a danger to her, and I don't trust you." Blah blah blah. Um, and then back at the station, Sergeant Munzer, he randomly digs up a cold case involving Joe Murphy and Reyes, the man who died. Like many years ago, there was some. It was a cop that was accused of murdering someone, um, or a cop that was framed or something like that. And Joe, or Murphy's dad, was the person who was on the case, and this Reyes guy was one of the perpetrators or something like that. And he found that kind of suspicious. Um, and then back to Harry and Pops. We'll call him Pops. Um, Joe mentions the Skinwalker incident and how that it's hard for Murphy to get sleep, and she has like nightmares and stuff from this incident. Like she was in front of a person who killed himself, and she was able to, she was there on the scene when it happened, and that's very traumatic. And seems like whenever you're around her, she's in more danger, so you better stay away, basically. And as that's happening, Murphy walks in and goes, "Harry, I need you. I need your help." And then he's just like, "Hey, we're just talking here. Oh, we didn't do nothing." Uh, so there's Murph and Pop tension, and Murph is like, "I can do this on my own, and I need Harry, so you can fuck off," basically. Uh, so then the fun part happens. They go to the Harry gets informed of the person at the scene, and he's like, "Oh, huh, all right, yeah, let's go back. Let's go back to the crime scene." And then they do, and Harry's trying to mimic where the guy with the branding irons was stepping, and he's like, "All right, I think this is a good spot." So he pulls something out of his pocket, and Murphy goes, "Oh, what's that?" He's like, "It's ant vomit." So he puts it on the ground where his shoe is, try to mimic where the guy was stepping. He's just like, "This magic spell will lead me to where the person walked." And so he takes Murphy's sunglasses, puts it on himself, and he's able to see the footprints, which is really cool. Um, he follows the murder's trail. Then, in the middle of one of the alleys, the trail goes cold, and Harry turns to Murphy and is like, "I need something to sharpen my emotions. I need you to slap me." And she's like, "What?" "I need you to slap me." And so she says, "No, I'm not going to slap you. That is ridiculous." He's like, "All right, whatever." And then he kisses her. And then she slaps him. And while they're kissing, someone takes a picture of them. And who is that someone? Yes, D.W. Herrick, the person that Murphy doesn't like. Um, and why is he taking up on him? We don't know. Not at this point, but it's weird. Um, and because of the kiss and slap, Harry's able to see that he stepped into a car, and now he's able to follow the tires of the car. So he follows that to an apartment building, and goes to where the footsteps lead him, and Murphy kind of just breaks in, and Harry's like, "Don't you need a warrant?" And she just kicks down the door, and he's like, "Aren't you gonna say you're the police?" And she goes, "Police," very quietly. um, and then Harry, while ruffling through what was in the apartment, Harry sees something that says "Sea Change" on it, and it's like a book with different people in it. He didn't know what it was, and then Murphy found something, but as soon as she's like, "Hey, I found something," she got attacked from behind, and so they basically the perp was wrestling with Harry and Murphy, and the perp, uh, you know, didn't run away right away. He gathered things. He gathered the iron rod, and then he went to the book that Harry's looking at and ripped out like the pages that were left, and then he ran away. And then Murphy shot him like 5 times as he was running down the hallway, and nothing happened. And she's like, I got direct hits on him, like all 5 of them. I don't understand. So, uh, then Murphy and Harry go back to the station, and immediately Murphy is kicked off the case because of the picture of her kissing Harry, and him being a quote unquote consultant. And her dad is there. He's just like, yeah, you're off the case. And then the captain's there. Yeah, you're off the case too. And blah blah blah. This is meant for you. And she's trying to fight it, but there's no dice to it. So she's off the case, and Harry and Murphy are like sulking, and they're like, okay, whatever. So I think it's Harry and Murphy go back to Harry's place, and they start thinking of why this would happen. This doesn't make any sense. She's never been kicked off a case before, and they suspect that the murderer is killing people who got a second chance in life, because Harry was looking at all these names of these different people, and he was realizing that this person died in a fire, or was exposed to a fire, should have died but didn't. This person committed suicide. They jumped off, and another person like drowned, and they figured, and that's exactly how the wounds were when they were found dead. Someone who was burnt, someone who looked like they jumped off a building, and then someone drowning. And they're like, this person is taking these second chance lives. And they immediately they suspect Henrik, or Herrick, D.W. Herrick, and so he goes to D.W. Herrick's office, and Harry starts, looking around, shuffling through papers and stuff like that, and uh, Herrick walks in. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And immediately Harry like casts a spell. He flings the door at the guy, and he gets on the ground, and he throws him against the wall. He's like, "What are you doing? Taking all these pictures? Why are you killing all these people?" He's like, "Where are we?" And he's like, "Well, we're in my office. All this has to do with Munzer, the Sergeant Munzer, the cool guy that everybody loves." And then he realizes, oh, crap. So they're using, basically, Munzer is using blackmail to potentially Herrick is using blackmail to potentially let Munzer get credit for this case. So makes it like look like he's kicking other people off of their cases by using blackmail, so he can take the credit for an easy win to make him look better. And then Murph and Pops are at dinner, and they're Joe's going on about how he looked into Harry's profile and he's like, yeah, he's a thief. He's done nothing but thievery his whole life. His parents were magicians and they probably stole stuff too. Like, you need to be away from this guy. Like, I'm protecting you from this guy and stuff like that. So, and then in the middle of dinner, Joe or Pops gets arrested by Kirami. What was the name? Kimani. Haha. Kimani. And he's like, yeah, you're arrested on the suspicion of the murder of all these people that were found in this house. Because at the crime scene, Kermani found this heart pill on the ground. It was a nitro pill. Is that nitro or nitrous pill? I can't remember. It's used for the heart if you get heart attacks and stuff like that. So he's in there for that, and it's like, oh, okay. He came back, because it was suspicious, because he came back this one day to try to kill a guy that a thug that he used to know or something like that. So he was suspected of killing that guy from the beginning. Anyways, it cuts back to Harriet D.W. Herrick's place, and we find out that Herrick, that it was actually Munzer that was behind the photo, and he mentioned Herrick like yeah, I don't trust that Harry guy. I think he wants to do a little more than just consult with Murphy, and so he was able to take that picture, and he realized that it's Munzer's behind all this, and they come to the conclusion that Munzer's killing these people to get a second chance, to get basically extra lives, which is pretty cool, in my opinion. Wouldn't you say?
Yep.
It's awesome. Alright. I'm almost done. Don't worry about it. What time is it?
10:13.
We'll be done in like 3 minutes. We find out that Munzer is behind the blackmail. Munzer kills people for the extra lives. And then Murph and Pops talk about their daughter, or Murphy's daughter, and he never sees her, blah, blah, blah. And then he gets a list of the next victims. They're able to find them in Munzer's office, or Harry does. And they use this, they trick Munzer into thinking, oh yeah, Joe was the murderer, his case isn't going very well. Hey, where are you at? I'm just trying to catch up with things. And so they're able to track his cell phone with GPS. So they're able to, and this time, what's the name? Munzer was about to take his next victim, right? So he punches her in the face or whatever, and Joe comes. They're supposed to stay in the car, but he comes in. It's Murphy and Harry, and they're all trying to arrest him and stuff like that. Like, oh, you're killing people for a second chance of life. He's just like, hey, I'm a police officer. My life is dangerous. They already had a second chance of life. What? I need it. I needed to save people. Blah blah blah. And so then Munzer uses the brain on Joe, and kills him to get an extra life. Murphy goes fucking crazy. She gets super emotional and sad. She's like, no, my dad, he's dying. Blah blah blah. Then Harry fights Munzer, and he's able to win, and he takes the brand and he destroys the brand. He's like, destroys the brand. Joe comes back to life. Everybody's happy. It's like, wow, we did it. And they come up with the quote, "One life per customer." Harry says at the end, and then Joe says he wants Harry to protect Murphy. setting up. Kind of bringing around like Harry was about to leave the police, but now he has a purpose to protect. Yeah, he gets a blessing from the dad. So, is it a great series? Hell no. Is it because we read the books? Yes. Well, he read all of them. I read like almost half of them. But these last two episodes were very, very good. They had a rhythm to them. I wrote this down. They had a rhythm to them, and this episode was very smooth. It kind of just flowed, as opposed to the other episodes that were all rigid, like we talked about before. But yeah, these last two episodes I fucking loved, even though they weren't technically correct. But if you don't know anything about the book, then it would have been a very good episodes. So
There are two things different. I had to look it up. I remembered one. In the books, Murphy's father is dead long before Harry meets her.
oh no.
Because I thought that was correct. I couldn't remember because I know she goes to a family picnic and drags Harry along. I couldn't remember if her father was there, but no, it was just
It was her mom, right?
mom, sister,
Who got married recently.
with her ex-husband.
Oh right, I forgot about that. that's why Murphy didn't want to go, but she had to go because the mom would have been like, "Oh, you didn't come to the family thing, blah blah blah."
And in the books, Murphy doesn't have any kids.
Is that book 5?
It's
5 or 6.
it's either. I think it's no, it's not. It's six. It's the one where they go and take out the black cart nest.
Oh, that's
So,
6.
yeah.
6.
It's either that or it's 5. Because 6 was a black cart. 5 was the duel against Duke Ortega.
Yeah, 6 was
Like for
The
the
porno
side
studio.
plots.
6 was the porno studio one.
That was our final review of Dresden Files. Maybe eventually we'll review the books. Maybe
Why? That's gonna take forever. They're books.
It'd just be like every once in a while. It wouldn't be like a weekly thing.
Oh, thank God. Oh,
Because I know when
don't scare me like that.
I know when book 18 comes out, 12 months. I'm probably gonna reread them or re-listen to them.
Yeah.
Because it's been a few years since, and I know I'll at least
Not for you, man.
I know I'll at least reread Battleground because a lot happened in that, and it's a really good book.
That's good. Alright, well, let's end it here. We got other things to do.
Join us here in a little bit for Pokemon D&D. I'm gonna stop the stream just so we can have a little time in between because we're still waiting on somebody. And
Yeah, us. We're not there yet.
Brandon's not there yet either.
Well, screw him.
But join us probably Sunday. We'll be reviewing the movie Heavy Trip, which is a movie I really liked that came out back in 2018.
Back in the day.
And unless we hit our like goal, we will start reviewing Tokyo Revengers next week. I counted during as we're going, we're currently at 847 likes. So if we get
Stop it.
153 more, we will do the first season of One Piece.
Stop
Instead
torturing
of
me.
Tokyo Revengers.
Stop it. Stop it, guys. Stop it. Alright, let's end it.
Uh,
Pokemon.
join us for
Pokemon.
Pokemon. Join us Sunday for Heavy Trip.
Go to sleep, okay?
Or next Tuesday for Tokyo Revengers.
Okay, I'm Skinner. That's
Derp derp.